Hello and welcome. My name is Mandy Van Havermet and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up from Great Eagle, Minnesota, and I am so happy that you decided to join me today. I am going to show you a simple card using the Vintage Tools stamp set. And this card, I love this stamp set because I do really like masculine cards, and I find a lot of people, a lot of us stampers have troubles with masculine cards, and this stamp set is a great masculine stamp set. I actually was so excited to see it. My husband's uncle, basically, he's a good friend of my husband, collects wood planes, vintage wood planes. So I am making a card. This card was inspired by Jack. So I'm going to make a card using the wood plane today for Jack. So let's get into it. We're actually going to be making two cards, two of the same cards, okay? So what we're going to need is everything here is ×2, okay? So I've got a piece of early espresso cardstock that's cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the center at 5.25, or at 4.25. I'm sorry. A piece of Night of Navy, 4 by 5.25, and a piece of Sahara sand, 4 by 5.25, and that's for each one of the cards. So everything there is ×2, right? Okay, and then I brought in a piece. I'm going to need a scrap of Sahara sand to do our stamping on. And then I've got a piece of designer series paper, and this is from He's the Man. It's cut at 4 by 6, and we're going to get 2 panels out of here, and I'm going to show you how I cut those panels. So what I do is I'm going to use this and cut it down at an angle to give us a little bit of a different look. So I'm going to make a tick mark from the top at 1.5, and I'm going to turn my ruler over and go from the other edge and make another tick mark at 1.5 from the bottom on the opposite side. So I've got a tick mark right here and a tick mark right here. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Trimmer, and what I'm going to do is line those tick marks up inside of the rail there. So I've got my tick mark here and I've got my tick mark here. Okay, and I'm just going to bring it straight down. And now I've got 2 pieces just like that, cut at the same angle, at the same size, okay? So I can put my Stampin' Trimmer away. So with these 2 pieces, I thought it'd be kind of fun to bring, to make it just a little bit different looking. So I've got my 2 ink colors today. I've got Night of Navy and Early Espresso. So I'm going to open up my Early Espresso. And I've got a sponge dauber, and I reuse my sponge daubers. I wash them out and I'll reuse them. And so what I'm going to do is around the outsides, I'm just going to kind of distress this out a little bit. Just to make it look a little more rustic, a little, I don't know. It brings a little something to it instead of just being flat pieces. See how different that changes the appearance of our paper? And I'm going to cover this edge up, so I don't necessarily need to do that edge. I'm going to cover that with some ribbon. So I just need to do the outside pieces. You could do this before you cut it, but it's harder to see your tick marks then. So. And I do like this card. I think it's so fun. And I, like I said, I was very excited when I seen the wood plane on there, because I was like, I knew instantly that Jack was getting a card or several with the wood plane, and he is going to absolutely love it. He loves handmade cards. So those 2 pieces are done. While I've got my inks out and open, I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping. So I've got the wood plane right here. You know what? I might end up needing a bigger piece of scrap. And I'm going to just stamp it straight down right there. I am going to need another piece of scrap. Pardon my reach. Should have used the bigger one, because I'm going for 2 circles, right? So I've just got another scrap of Sahara sand here. And those, isn't that, I love the look of this stamp and how it's some of it's darker and some of it's lighter. So pretty. I love, can it be pretty, I guess? Yes, I'm going to call it pretty. So You're all that and more. That is not the sentiment I wanted. Oh, I thought I was so prepared. I'm going to do this one. You're plain awesome. Get it? But get what they did there? You're plain awesome. Night of Navy, and I'm going to stamp that right under the wood plane. Such a neat sentiment, such a neat play on words there. While I've got my inks open, I'm going to stamp the insides of my card as well. So I'm going to pull out my 2 panels. I like to get my stamping done all at one time. So I'm going to pull out my 2 panels. This stamp set doesn't really have a birthday sentiment, and it's Jack's birthday. So I'm pulling in my old, dependable, Peaceful Moments stamp set that's got all those great, great sentiments, and I'm just going with the happy birthday. Simple, right? So I'm going to do that in the Night of Navy, just on the inside. And if you wanted to, you absolutely could go around with your, well, let's do it with one of them. You could go around the outside of the card and kind of give that a little bit of the, I think it looks vintage, more vintage maybe older when you do this. And I don't do it on every card, but I do it on some. And I do think it changes the looks. So we'll see what you prefer when we get done. I'm also going to pull in this little tack stamp and just put a few tacks at the bottom. Just to add a little something down there. Right there. Yep, that's enough. All right, so that's all of our stamping. That is the extent of our stamping there. So let's close these up and get them out of here so that we don't make a boo-boo. All right, so now I'm going to pull in a die from Stylish Shapes. I'm going to use the second to biggest circle. I like these, this set of dies. It's fast becoming one of my favorites. I use it a lot. And so what I'm going to do is run it through my cut and emboss machine just like that. Okay, so let's pull in our plates. And I'm going to make my sandwich, plate number 1, plate number 2, and then 2 plate number 3s. Place that on there. And I'm going to run it through my cut and emboss machine. Come right back to you. And so there's our circle. Isn't that pretty, just with the that little bit of extra on the outside? And so then it also leaves, if you were using this piece, it's got the stitching on that side also. So let's do our other one here. Run it through. I maybe should have stamped the You're Plain Awesome. It's not quite centered on here. But we can maybe fix that if you don't like it. We can absolutely fix that. While I've got my my plates out here, I'm also going to be embossing my Night of Navy pieces with the Timber embossing folder. So the sandwich on that is a little different. This is a 3D embossing folder. And somewhere down here, there it is. Somewhere down here, I've got my plate number 4. So for a 3D, using a 3D embossing folder, you're going to use plate number 1 and you're going to use plate number 4. So let's go ahead and do that. And here again, I like to line up. This is a pretty straight pattern. So it looks best when it's straight. So I like to use that line. So I'm going to put it on directly on plate number 1, plate number 4, and run it through my cut and emboss machine. So there is 1, and we're going to do the same thing again. There is, run that through. And there is my second embossed piece. All right, so we're all done with that. Let's make our cards. And I am going to change that because it is off just a little bit. So we're going to figure something out. Don't worry about that. Okay, so let's fold our early espresso pieces. Fold and burnish those. We've got all of our pieces here, right? I'm also going to be using, look at that, it's a brand new pack of the Early Espresso Faux Suede ribbon. I really, really like this ribbon. Super easy to work with. It's got a nice, just a nice feel to it. I like it. Simple to tie, just an all-around good ribbon. So let's put our cards together. I'm going to take my designer series paper. I'm going to attach that right onto the Night of Navy piece. And you can choose to have the texture like facing out or down. It totally is up to you. There's no right or wrong way. I don't know. I'm going to do it out on this one, I guess. This one, let's try it with it down. And I don't know if you know what I mean by that. The wood grain on this one, the wood grain is poking up. The wood grain on this one will be pointing down. So here again, I don't feel that there's a right or a wrong. I am totally for whatever makes you happy. And I've got just a little bit of blue sticking out on this one. It's got a little, I don't know, must have been cut just a like 1/16 of an inch. So I'm just going to trim that so it's perfectly even. That's something that's just one of my deals. So now we're going to take some of this ribbon and I'm going to place it on my card just like that. Remember I said I was covering up that line, so you don't need to use your sponge dauber on there because it's going to be covered up. Okay, so how I get it to adhere is I just turn it over. I put a little bit of adhesive on each spot where it's going to end, and I simply just place it there. And I leave it on the roll, you see, so I don't know how long of a piece of ribbon you would technically need because I leave it on the roll and I take it right off the roll. So just like that. And like I said, doesn't that add just it adds just a little bit. I like it. So then we're going to put that directly onto our card bases. I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive on my ribbon because I think I missed the mark just a little bit on that one. Okay. Press that down nice. And then this will, and you might need to, you find that the embossed paper tends to be a little wavy. So you really do need to use a good amount of adhesive when you're embossing with this folder. Okay, now let's put some ribbon on this one. Yep, I'm in the right spot. Ay, ay, ay. And just fold it over in the back. Run it down, snip it, and fold it over just like that. So now they're caught right on that sticky piece. So let's bring in our other card base and put it right down onto our card base. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so this now I am going to use some dimensionals and put that right there, but we're going to change this one up just a little bit. Brand new sheet of dimensionals, just 2 gone. Like a kid in a candy store. See how fast we can get those gone, right? Okay. And just like that. You're plain awesome. and then right there again. Aren't those cute? Okay, so I'm hoping that my double oval punch that makes a big noise when I drop it, I'm hoping that that will fit in there. So let's find our Plain Awesome and our blue, our Night of Navy. And let's see if it fits. I'm going to stamp it on there. Close this up. There's always a way to fix everything, okay? Always, always. Oh, look at that. It fits so nice inside of there. I'm going to end up punching that out also, but that's okay. This is a scrap. So we can change it. We can center it yet. Look at that. No one has to know. No one has to know. Perfect. It'll be great. And actually, let's add a little dimension behind it. Let's do this. Let's draw some attention to it. There. There. And then I'm going to grab some dimensionals and pop that up. And I don't think this will be too, you may have to put an extra postage stamp on this one. Might have gotten a little thick with the 2 dimensionals there, because there's a dimensionals under here and no dimensionals under there. That's when you got to get a little more, you maybe want to ask your local clerk. So anyhow, see how well that worked out. Let's put our insides in there. And now you can decide too, again, remember I did the sponging on the outside of one and not on the other. So you can decide how you like the insides also. That does add just a little bit on the inside, doesn't it? Just adds a little bit of extra. I like it. All right, so there's our cards for today using the Vintage Tools stamp set. Here are the dimensions if you'd like to take I'll put the one that I didn't mess up. If you'd like to take a screenshot of that so you have them ready to go. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining and have a great day. Bye-bye.